Okay, welcome. I did get the green light here. We are live on the Ripple Effect with David and Erica. And how
Hi,
are you, Erica? What are you drinking there?
I am drinking a lung support tea right now. I got this at the Well, that's in Temescal on 55th and Telegraph, this really great tea store. And they have some nice, yummy food there. And it looks like this. The
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you put the loose leaf in one of those things. And then I love this place, the Well, if you have never been there. And it's right next to Mariposa Bakery. And it's a part of the East Bay Community Space, which is there. Great people run that place and friends live there. So that's a shout out to the Well and that area.
Good. Yeah, I actually had somebody, a good colleague, mentioned about how, I always ask how people are at the beginning, and kind of I try to do it in this natural way, and this colleague pointed it out, who I respect. And I was like, where did I get that habit? And it goes back to actually a boss I had out in DC, Washington, DC. I went to graduate school out in Washington, DC, and he was actually the lobbyist for CalPERS and the California Senate, this guy named David Vienna. And he actually used to always ask me, like, how are you? So I just thought it's such a good habit to actually kind of ask people how you are. So that was just one little tidbit I wanted to share that I think as a good highlight for our podcast, how we do a little check-in on stuff. And
It's so Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
yeah, yeah. He would always just be like, how are you, David? And even if like the world was collapsing or whatever, or CalPERS was hassling them or whatever, but which, CalPERS is a big time client. And he was a great, he was one of those lobbyists who was so down to earth. He used to be a reporter, and he used to talk a bunch of trash about all these lobbyists with their fancy alligator shoes who didn't do anything out there, and cracks me up. But anyway, I actually have a plug for this Oakland coffee, who I don't know if I like it better just because Green Day makes it, and I don't know quite what they put in the coffee, but it's good stuff. So
Let me see
yeah,
again.
yeah. It's called Oakland Coffee. Yeah, it's actually like very popular online. They're doing a big social media campaign, and Green Day, was just on tour, and they're actually
Huh.
live in Oakland or Berkeley. And they produce this coffee, and they have some great like stickers and paraphernalia that goes along with it. So yeah, Oakland Coffee, and it's known for being kind of like a very smooth kind of blend to it. So I start with tea, but then I drink coffee for a lot of my work. And
I'm a big fan of this thing that for non-coffee drinkers, I'm a big fan of this thing called bio coffee. And another thing that I got at that place, the Well, which, so again, I love things that are kind of, especially as we're getting into the winter time, like things that, have that kind of rich flavor. Here, if you give me a second, I'll get it for you.
okay.
But these things that have like a rich flavor, but you don't need to have the caffeine. So it's like we're giving our best of right now. So this is called the Mushroom Uncoffee, and they also sell it at the Well, and it looks like this. So it has that kind of yummy. You see that?
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks good.
Yeah, so this is it's all these different yummy things in there like that you could actually put together yourself, but if you don't want to deal with that, it's roasted chicory root, dandelion root, ashwagandha root, carob, cinnamon, chaga mushroom, chisandra berries, reishi. It's all organic. And again, this is at the Well, which is on 5443 Telegraph Avenue in Temescal. And
Sweet. That's my old neighborhood. Yeah, I'll have to
yeah,
go in there. I love all the little shops and things in Oakland and Berkeley.
yeah, and you can get some really nice gifts in the Well. So anyway, that's a nice shout out to the Well. We'll make sure that they know that we're giving them our shout out.
Well, good. Sorry, folks, we're a little lazy getting started here, but we were waiting on Harold Burton, a good friend and colleague of ours, but he's actually tied up at the moment. He may pop in at any moment. We'll keep you updated. And just a
Yeah.
little crib sheet for today. Erica and I were going to do some check-ins. I actually have some good health news that I was excited to report to Erica because it's something she
Yay.
asks me about every week. So it's great to have made a little breakthrough there. And then
Right
we were
on.
going to maybe check in on our businesses. I did want to talk a little bit about Oakland Rotary, some of the exciting things going on there, and then also some of Erica's events and what's going on there, because we've haven't really caught up much over the summer, to hear a lot of the things that you've been involved in and that you have going right now. So how about maybe we start with the health check-in if you want.
Yeah, I want to hear what you want to share. What do you, so if some of you remember some of our previous podcasts, every so often we would interview each other, not guests we'd bring on. So David, would put David on the hot seat and we talk about his goals for his health and what he wants to do and what are his challenges, because it's like it's real and raw, this thing called healthy lifestyle shifts. And I think it was a great conversation over the months that we did it. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to share. What do you want to say?
Yeah, really, I'm back on my path of a cleaner diet. So, I've really continue to make good strides in my fitness. I'm the strongest I've been. I have a great fitness routine, but it really comes down to diet. And I've been on my new, I shouldn't call it a diet, but it really started
That's
with my
right. You
trainer
shouldn't
having
call
a,
it a diet.
yeah, my trainer Liam having a talk with me. And sometimes you got to kind of shake people up a little bit. Not that he necessarily did that, but it did kind of have that effect. And I'm grateful to him. A lot of times, not that many people kind of, you know, um, be stern enough with you, and I appreciate that you do that. But really, I kind of know what to do. I just need to do it. But something just clicked, a series of things to where I can do it again. I've already lost 5 pounds, so I have some time to go. But really, I've done it by not keeping the unhealthy stuff around the house. So the girls are going to have their cookies, and I don't eat any of that stuff anyway. But to really limit kind of these exotic cheeses or things that I would buy, or baguettes, and just keep kind of proteins and fruits and vegetables around. So and then have kind of regular meals. So I really do these great egg scrambles where you have a lot of sauteed vegetables and then eggs in there, and then put salsa on that as a regular meal. And then for lunch, have fish, like trout, with also like vegetables, either steamed or put them on there. I make these packets. So if you can come up with I found if I can come up with stuff that you like to eat, that you can eat every day, and just stick with that, then I'll lose weight. But really the key is that mental mindset to believe that you can do it. And once I believe that, then I'm successful. So I'm happy to be there and have those results to share with you too.
What was the specific thing that had it go, and that what was the thing that you said to yourself, or that, like, if you were talking to Liam, like what was the what was the thing that helped turn it around for you?
Really, it's the motivation to do it. You kind of have to hit some type of rock bottom, so to speak, and then something has just clicked to where it's made me want to do it. And for whatever reason that happens. So
Wow, that is so exciting. And do you feel it in your body?
yeah,
What
yeah,
do you
yeah.
notice?
It's just more of a hopefulness that I find it's so much of it is just a mindset and a feeling that that's what it has to start with. And then that's what keeps you motivated, because it is challenging. You can't do it out of sheer determination. You almost have to kind of feel it as like a big purpose. And um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So I,
This is
I
so
do, I,
cool.
I do continue to drink those smoothies. And really it's cutting out a lot of the dairy and the sugar, but also not eating at night. So we don't have to get too much into the the nitty gritty. I did want to see about how your exercise program was coming along. I didn't see you in that swim over to Alcatraz the other day, unless I happen to miss you. But
Did you take pictures for that?
I just saw it online that some people I knew do that.
Yeah,
I
we know
actually, my
David Toman took
fashion
pictures for
designer
that.
does, or designer does that, and another prominent real estate agent, Rick Fuller, one of the top agents I saw, he was on that swim. Yeah, so they actually swim out there with all the the sharks and other animals out there to Alcatraz. So
Yeah, I have people on my swim team. They did that swim. I did not do it. Escape from Alcatraz. I did not know about it till it was happening. And I saw some of the amazing pictures David Toman, photographer, shot. I'm inspired by those people who have gone. The pictures are fabulous, people's joy. But my big news is that I've been swimming with the swim team since February, and we're getting ready for this meet that's coming up in Walnut Creek in mid-October, and it's a 3-day meet. And I'm like, why am I doing this? But it's sort of mandatory, sort of the coach has declared it mandatory, and I'm like, well, I don't think the thing that I thought I was going to be doing that weekend, I don't think is happening in person. So I kind of don't have any excuses. And I hear it's a lot of fun hanging out with all the people and the team. There's about 100 people on this team. This is the Memo swim team, Marcia's Enthusiastic Masters of Oakland. And so my exciting news was when we did our timed 100s the last Friday of September, each time I did it, I broke my previous time. So it was kind of like I started at 1 minute 46 seconds, then I went to 1:43, then I went to 1 minute 39 seconds, then I went to 1 minute 38 seconds. And the coach was like, Erika, you keep getting faster. And it was really an interesting mind trip, because I was watching my mind tell me, get it together. Don't worry about breathing. You'll breathe eventually. Like I was having like, when am I going to breathe? And those kind of like fears come up. And then I was like, no, just go for the adrenaline, feel the adrenaline, go for the adrenaline. And I mean, it's kind of amazing how I could do that when I was watching my brain like double guess myself. And yeah, so it was really interesting to experience that. And I mean, I don't want to get a fat head or anything. And there's most of the people are much faster than me on the team, of course, but I'm in my little lane, and there's the people around me who are a little faster, and there's people around me who are a little slower, and then there's everybody else. And so it's very exciting. I just recently had something my dad sent to me from way back in the 80s when I was on a swim team back in New York. And he sent me this little report card that I got from my swim coach then. And it's just so funny, like, oh, I'm still swimming. I still love it. And yeah.
I actually have a little swimming anecdote that you actually inspired me to do too, that for about the past 6 weeks, I didn't do it last week because I was, I actually find it's important to take time off when you do intense exercise, at least like a week every 6 weeks. If you're hitting it hard for 5 weeks, to take almost a full week off. And that's what I did. But what I've been doing is actually doing sprints in the pool in adult time. So I can actually go up with Carrie on the weekend, or we go during the week sometimes. And there's a 10-minute adult time, and I do sprints for that whole 10-minute adult, kind of, I take breaks. And I feel like a lot of people kind of think it's strange that you're sprinting, because so few people do that. They kind of go slow. But if you really sprint for 10 minutes, that workout is actually better than, I think, doing a 30-minute workout where it's more lackadaisical if you go kind of all out sprint. So, I really like that. And that kind of came from my trainer. And I was doing that sprints with running too, in the park. And again, people think, is this guy like, think he's like Matt Damon or something, but I think it's and you got to kind of build up to that with the sprints and the
Yeah, I mean,
running.
I understand the thinking that your trainer has imparted to you. And I have been building up my longevity and my endurance as a longer distance swimmer. And at the same time, I can do the little sprints better and better because I have that buildup of my capacity. So now when I
Yeah.
do my 1 hour swims, I'm less toasted in the middle and I can get to the end of the 55 minutes to an hour. And then it's a little more, it's still daunting, the hour and a half workouts that we do once a week, but it's all mindset, it's just a
Yeah.
crazy mindset game.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful.
Yeah, and I'm not here to slide anybody's work out. I think that's in that, that length of time, the amount of work that you do in that is like a whole different exercise from kind of sprints. That's like more of like that long term where I don't even know all the terminology, like the
There's short
anaerobic or
twitch,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
short twitch
yeah,
muscles and there's
yeah,
long twitch muscles, and long distance swimming is those long twitch muscles, I think. And the short twitch muscles are much more like an ultimate frisbee, the stops and the starts and fast bursts of running and then slow, and turn and, like the short twitch muscles, I've definitely developed a little more of a capacity to deal with it, but my body doesn't like it. I know my body doesn't like it. So it's really,
yeah. And part of it is I'd like to get to doing like one of those longer workouts a week because I think that kind of sticks with you. It can kind of change the chemistry of your body almost if you do like one long bike ride a week or a long run. If you build up to that, that is like hugely impactful. I'm not quite there yet. I kind of really focus on this strength stuff, and then the sprinting stuff's more my cardio, but um I'd like to add in one longer workout like that. That'd be huge. So, but how about, tell me about some of how it's going with your business, if you have any kind of goals or plans for this year as we go into the fall. And I know we talked about one kind of reach dream event of yours, which sounds really cool. I'd be happy to help you with that too. I'll let you explain what that is. A summit, a speaker summit, you said? So,
yeah, like a speaker summit for health professionals that I know, like, and trust. So my virtual assistant, Meredith, was like, you need to do a summit. And I was like, ooh. And I've been watching you do summits, and I've been watching, other people do their summits. And it's like, it really creates a lot of good energy. Something that I've been really doing in this past year is I've been teaching classes and workshops for my community. And we've done this Crouching Tiger, Hidden Artist class for burgeoning artists and artists who want to take themselves to the next level. And really, it was such an interesting way to deal with all this time we have on our hands in the pandemic, and just some depression and like anxiety. So that was a wonderful dive I did with my community. And then we did this this healing movement protocol called Intrinsic Movement for Bliss and Creativity, and that was like a 4-week program. And we had a live musician friend of mine, Hassan Bakar, come and play music for us while we were doing the movement. So awesome. And Hassan is a dear old friend of mine, and a dear young friend of mine that I've known for over 25 years, so it was really an honor to have him be part of that and play music for us while we did this healing movement protocol. And then most recently, I did this thing that was called Get Your Right On. So getting out of our own way to write down your inner thoughts and listen and sort of self-reflect upon oneself. So that was very, very exciting class to participate in, as well as guide. And I'm still learning how to do this thing for myself. How do I do this thing called get out of my own way to write? And I'm learning all the time. And now I'm kind of doing a little reflection to see what does the next thing I want to offer, what do I want to bring to the table? But I sure have this amazing platform with my radical self-care Zooms that I do every so often. And I'll be letting y'all know when the next one is for that, and guest speakers on that. And, just, this is such a wild ride we're having. And how is our endurance? How is our self-care? How is our healing time to replenish in this kind of stressful time. So that's what I'm thinking about. That's what's going on for me. I have had, this is been the busiest 2 years of my life as a therapist, as a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm so grateful that I get to do this work with people. And, I just love the work. I'll never get tired of the work for people who are committed to their process, their healing process. And then my third business, my third business is my fruits and vegetables advocacy and helping people eat better, eat more plants. And I just received 2 grants for working with 2 different schools to grow vertical gardens with the tower gardens. So one school is in Burlington, Vermont, the Rock Point School, and one school is right here in the island of Alameda, the Alameda Academy, Academy of Alameda. So those 2 schools, I'll be helping them get growing. I'm so excited about that. And I'll want to be documenting all this goodness with the help of your expertise. And just showing that this is possible. If you want to grow food, you can in a way that's very sustainable and saves 90% of the water. And, we're finding that this is the time to grow food, just given all this hunkering down that we're doing, that we've had our business go up like 90% from a year and a half ago, for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. Yeah. I think the hardest thing for me, but almost the most valuable thing, is to actually carve out some downtime. I mean, I'd love it if I had like a subscription to a jet service where I could go out for a week and sit on a beach somewhere. But I think the most important thing is to like carve out like a week or something every like quarter or something to like fully recharge, because to really get that quantum leap, I call it, we need to be like in this like space that we're not normally in. We need to be almost like fully recharged and have like our full kind of creative powers. And that's where I've made the biggest leaps before. But because I think the biggest risk is on solopreneurs and entrepreneurs is that we just keep doing the same thing. We get run down without trying to keep jump into those higher plateaus. And I'm actually a math guy. I always think of things in terms of mathematical formulas, not everything, but I think one of it's like doing the work so we can get to that plateau. And you stay at that plateau, but you can't stay there forever. You have to continually be going to higher plateaus if you're growing. And that's if we can always be looking for the opportunity to get to those higher plateaus, that's where we want to be. And I feel like a lot of people kind of give up and they don't look for those higher plateaus. But if we can just keep climbing, we're on the right path. So anyway.
Yeah, I really, it's been a very interesting year for me being the president of my networking group and getting to be this person that's like broadcast news director in that context, and figuring out how to be the conductor and the organizer and the rallier and the cajoler and the bureaucracy. All that stuff has been a big learning curve for me. And I'm also really excited to pass the baton off to the next person and support them to their success, and and have fun with it from a little bit more of a backseat role. So it's been a lot of learning this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the difference that's made in you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just being, the president of that chapter, to have to every week at 7:30 in the morning to lead that chapter. And, you don't always feel like doing it, or there's some challenge. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, some mornings you probably don't want to get up and do that, because it's just kind of.
Yeah, I actually had a nightmare the other night that it was actually last night. Last night I dreamt that it was Wednesday and I hadn't prepared all the slides and I hadn't done my homework, and I jumped out of bed in my dream. I'm like, oh my God, it's Wednesday. There's like this little nightmare. And then I woke up this morning. Oh, it's Tuesday. Okay, I still have a day to figure it out.
Yeah, I had a kind of a crazy dream the other night too. I don't remember everything. I remembered part of it like 2 days later, and they say it's actually very good if we can actually try to remember what our dreams are, because they're
Yeah,
almost
I
more true
love
than our
dreams.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah, I love working with dreams, and we could do a whole bit about dream work, David.
Yeah, we should. I
We
don't know
should.
if
I
we
could
have
totally.
anybody, an
No,
expert on
I could do it
dreams,
with us.
or
We could totally do it.
let's talk about that sometime.
Sure.
I did want to give a little preview. I think we should probably go about 5 more minutes, or
Yeah.
5 to 7, because I actually have to make some calls for my next podcast starts, just to pin down a few people on some recorded stuff. But what do we have to look forward to with the ripple effect? I know we can you give us a preview of some of the topics or guests that you'd like to have on that we're kind of exploring? And I could maybe um I do want to get some more interesting well, we have great guests, but I'd love to kind of chart cover new territory and topics, like the
Yeah.
dream thing.
Well,
Or
I'd love to practice some of the ideas that we see from the esteemed Gary Vaynerchuk, where we just throw out the script and just really talk with people. And, this whole thing of having a crib sheet, that's really awesome. And then there's this other side of like being available in the moment to really just real talk, honest, real talk, because I think that's what's really needed right now is real, honest talk, less of the pitch and more of, slowing down to really notice, what do we need here? What are we creating right now as a culture, as a society, as entrepreneurs? What's real and what will help and serve. So anyway, that's some of my ideas. I know we're going to have Marie Bowser, licensed acupuncturist, come on more towards the end of September. And we'd love to have Kyla Lupo come back on. She's my triathlon
yes.
coach, and I got to teach at her triathlon retreat back in July. It was so much fun. I taught some yoga at that and some other somatic practices. And so it'd be fun to have Kyla back on and hear updates from Kyla. She's been all over the country competing, and I so adore Kyla Lupo. And so I love this idea that we could have one of our episodes can be about dream work. This is an amazing time as we go into the darkness of the winter. I'm not happy about it, but to bring in your dreams and to play with your dreams and notice what are the messages from your unconscious while we're sliding into the darkness, and to do so with grace and ease and, blossoming into winter, so to speak. So I think that would be fun topics for our future Ripple Effect podcast. What about you, David?
Yeah, that sounds great. And I do admit, when you first brought that up about making it more conversational, I didn't quite know what that might look like. And it made me kind of think about my style and some of the style we've been doing, that I gathered is more of kind of a rigid interview type, where you have somebody on kind of like Meet the Press and you like grill them. I don't know if you remember that show with Tim Russert, or, very few newscasters do it anymore, but more, whereas when it's more of kind of a safe space, a conversation that's like less formal, less planned. And I do really like that idea. I actually been watching some more shows, watch some of the late night shows just to see what's going on, or different interviewers. And, I've always liked Howard Stern from kind of back in the day, that you kind of never know what you're going to get if you have that kind of more playful, less formal, free form, like different topics. Like, for example, with those news shows, I think one of the big holdbacks is that they're only focused on some topic of the day that is almost completely irrelevant to most people's lives, whereas some of these more real topics that are what's on people's minds, if you give them the space to share that, that's like hugely powerful. And I think the best interviewers do that. I always really admired, David Letterman, or I actually think Jimmy Kimmel's good too, just to like give people the space to kind of share what's on their mind and like see where it goes. So
Yeah, I love Terry Gross. I love Yeah, I love this learning process of how do we listen and ask good questions that lead to amazing stories, you know? And sometimes I find, you know, sometimes we stray from our script, our crib sheet, and it really comes to life. And I think that's where it becomes really exciting and interesting, is in these surprises and the discovery of finding out who people are and what gifts they're bringing to the world, you know.
Well, great. Well put. Well, let's I think we can end it there, unless you can make a closing remark if you want, but um I like where this is going, and let's catch up soon to kind of make some of these things a reality. If we can do it in the off, during the week or something, let's think
Yes,
about how
sir.
we can. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And invite me to come swim.
Okay. Okay. Good. I
Great,
think it's
great.
pool's open for another couple months here, so yeah.
Oh, cool. And just know that where David Kirsten is available to talk with about the great work he does as a wide angle media videographer. And he's so easy to work with. I highly recommend talking to him if you have doubts and fears about your video needs. And you know, what are you really, I know you got to go, David, so we can wrap it up, but let's make sure to talk about that, who you're looking for in our next podcast. Okay.
Yeah. No, that sounds great, and I appreciate that. And we'll leave it there for today. Thanks, Erica. I'll see you in the morning.
See you in the morning.
Or,
I'm
yeah.
gonna start preparing. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.